Someone call the Rams. Reports are that new head coach John Gruden cut King because of personality issues. Rams. Nick, how surprising was Gruden giving King the boot?
I mean, I guess it wasn't surprising, but it was disappointing to me. Like, I just want to ask some NFL coaches this, and I'll ask John Gruden because we're talking about it. What is the coach's job, if not to take talented...
The coach's job is to manage the roster, to groom people, make them better than what they are, give them coaching techniques to enhance their overall skill, manage the locker room, and control the game.
Right. Is anything unfootball related? Anything non-football related the coach's job?
Well, the head coach, absolutely. Absolutely.
But let's talk about this then in relation to Marquette King. Because no one will deny this guy is one of the most talented punters in the sport. Has one of the biggest legs in the sport, is not that you really need this from a punter that often, but is more athletic than most punters at the position. Like all these things, right? If you're the new head coach there and you look at it and you say, man, the guy was kind of selfish in his punting. You might say, what does that mean? Like, wouldn't necessarily take yards off a punt.
When they get around midfield, is he a great possession punter where he understands what the defense is trying to do, or is he going to be a little selfish and go for average and kick the ball into the end zone, which makes him have a higher average, but
not as good for the team.
Not as good for the team. Exactly right. Also, I mean, I think he's the only punter in league history to get unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in consecutive weeks, right? So, little personality issue, little selfish, but really talented. As a new head coach, shouldn't you believe in your ability enough to say, hey, that's how he acted under Jack Del Rio. It's not how he's going to act under me. I'm not getting rid of, arguably, one of the best players at his position.
I mean, at least give him a chance to turn himself around.
See if you can get through to him. That's your job as the coach, to me. Your job as the coach is to be able to imprint your philosophy on the team. And if your philosophy is cut the crap out, then imprint that on the team. You never even got a chance to meet with the kid before you cut him. Like, to me, it's the easy way out.
As a coach, when you say there's a new sheriff in town, there are going to be some people going to get executed in front of the team, in front of the media. This is one of them.
Like a statement?
Yeah, absolutely. They're all coaches. When they come to turn around a program, there are certain guys who've been like, why did he cut that guy? They cut him as an example of the type of personalities, and he doesn't want the personality of a wide receiver actually being his punter. When you start getting it mixed up, what position does this guy play? Oh, he's a wideout. Oh, he's a punter. Now, there have been other NFL punters that have problems with their personality. Chris Cooley, he had problems there in Minnesota. Vanderjack, as a kicker, he had problems. There's other punters and kickers that have had problems, that have had an outgoing personality, and it's affected their ability to stay employed. This is a position that they want the people to come to work and be very quiet, not be demonstrative, not draw attention to themselves. To me, I thought that he would have a short career. When I saw some of the highlights throughout the last several years, I didn't think people would allow him to be a punter, especially when you start getting personal fouls. You start doing stupid stuff.
Right,
Jack Del Rio was not pleased with him as the punter. Not because of his overall skill, but because of his lack of wanting to be seen more than actually doing his job. And trying to create tension for yourself, I believe it can hurt you as a kicker, as a negative effect, and I believe it's had to do with salary. I believe he was making $2.5 million, and I knew they were going to come see him on that $2.5 million.
And while the Rams make sense, they actually got a great punter.
I know.
I'd love for him to go there because it'd be fun, but they got a great punter there.
I meant more for personality issues. Also to try to be funny and failed twice. So I said it twice. Hey, talk basketball.
That was funny, though.
Thank
you made up for it.
Nick Wright. The NBA postseason starts in 12 days. That means the Cavs have 12 days to find a starting lineup. One that includes 5 players who will start every night. You know, like a starting lineup. Among concerns last night, they barely beat a Mavericks team, 30 games under 500. LeBron did record his 17th triple-double despite shooting 5 for 21 from the field. After the win, LeBron spoke about the team's chances in the postseason.
You know, when it comes down to the postseason, you know, we can be pretty good. I mean, I think so, but I mean, we don't know. I mean, listen, we lost our starting point guard last game. You know, so you know, we're trying to get everybody acclimated. Our head coach is you know, still out, and that's going to take a little time to get back as well. So, I mean, I don't know what we're capable of doing. We haven't played a playoff game together. We got, you know, 4 guys from our championship team. You know, myself, JR, Tristan, and Kev. We got some playoff experience, but yeah, I mean, you don't know. It's a new season, so we see what happens.
All right, so let's talk about the Cavs and where they are right now, and whether your seeding has any effect for you, and if that matters to you at all. Where do you think they can go?
Listen, I think they want to avoid Philly in the first round. I'll tell you that much. I think right now, we've talked about if Philly could catch them. Indiana's only a half or one game back. Indiana also, by the way, won the season series with Cleveland. So if Indiana and Cleveland finish with the same record, Indiana can jump above them. Then they're likely in a 4-5 matchup with Philly. I think they would like to avoid that. About yesterday's game, I know LeBron had a triple-double. I think it was the worst game he's played all year. It was the first game in over a decade he was under 25% from the field. You don't see 5 for 21 games from LeBron. You might occasionally see 5 for 8 games from LeBron. You never see a 5 for 21 game. The only, in my opinion, reason they won that game is because the Mavericks are not trying to win games in the fourth quarter. Like we've talked about, do teams throw games?
Or the first, second, or third.
Well, no. In the first 3 quarters, the Mavericks, they have a great coach in Rick Carlisle. They put out competent lineups. And then come the fourth quarter, the way they tank effectively is Carlisle knows what their worst lineup possible combinations are. They put them out in the fourth quarter, and what happens? They get beat in the fourth quarter 25-10 when the Cavs weren't even playing that well in the fourth quarter. The Mavs just had no competent offense whatsoever. Like, yesterday was a bad game. And the other thing is this. LeBron said, we just lost our starting point guard. Kyle Korver still hasn't been back yet. They have played 0 games. 0 games with what their playoff roster will be. So
doesn't that worry you at all?
It would, if the Eastern Conference had shown any level of resistance over the last 3 years since LeBron was back, it would. But they've played 9 series against the East. They've swept 6 of them. They've gone to 5 games in 1, and they've gone to 6 games in 2. Like, even if the East has caught up a little bit and the Cavs have regressed a little bit, to me, they're still demonstrably the demonstrable favorite over everyone else. But I agree with LeBron. Like, well, I don't know what you expect. Are they going to be in a dogfight in the first round for the first time since he got back? Depending on who they play, that's on the board.
But I don't think you agree with LeBron. You said Cleveland's going to be in the finals.
Absolutely.
LeBron didn't say that.
Well, he didn't say they're not going to be in the finals. Like, what do you mean? He said, I don't know what to expect in this team in the postseason.
Right, but you said you know what to expect. You said they're in the finals, though.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
You see what I'm saying? So it's totally different than what LeBron's saying.
Well, I think, sure. I mean, but LeBron last week said it doesn't matter what seed we have. I like my chances.
That was before George Hill got hurt.
Yeah, but if George Hill were out for the year, I think I would be adjusting things as well. George Hill's not out for the year. George Hill will be back before the postseason.
Right.
Go ahead.
What I'm just trying to say is that there should be a certain amount. They're fortunate they're in the East, because that's the only way that you wouldn't have trepidation. If they were in the West, there's 5 teams in the West that could beat them. Like, I do believe that. Cleveland, based on the performance, though, LeBron was at the Justin Timberlake concert. Him and Justin Timberlake were doing shots on stage. You could hear in LeBron's voice, LeBron was hoarse. So after being out all night, you got Dallas coming the next day. This is what you're going to see. So let's not overreact to LeBron, to that game. But as far as the Cavs, I've been concerned about the Cavs all year. I believe this will be the most struggle that they had in the preliminary rounds of the playoffs, more so than any other year. So if they got Philly right now, the Philly matchup's not a bad matchup for them because Joel Embiid's out the first game. Philly's got home court advantage. Cavs are going to win the first game. So I don't care if they have home court advantage. The Cavs are going to win game number 1 before Joel Embiid plays. So I don't look at that as being a bad matchup, being up 1.
You don't care if they're the 3 seed or the 4 seed?
Well, I mean,
their health is the number 1 thing. All right? Getting all the guys back to being healthy is far more important than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Cece, would it surprise you? Right now the Cavs are 47-30. Last year, they won 51 games. This year, they're going to win either 50 or 51 games. They very easily could finish with the exact same record as last year. Despite, obviously, last year they didn't have any of this type of roster turnover. They added Kyle Korver right before the deadline, and that was really their only major addition. This year, Kyrie gone, Isaiah Thomas in, Isaiah Thomas out, coach in, coach out,
no
Kevin Love in, Kevin Love out. What do you make of the fact that they're going to win the same amount of games last year? When last year I know you had, I think I know, you had almost no level of concern about Boston beating them in the playoffs or about their ability to make it back to the NBA Finals.
Well, I think the East is better. I think Cleveland has been a tremendous disappointment based on the Kyrie trade, everything they went through with IT, trying to get it right, and now getting the players. If the players they traded for, almost all those players have spent some time on the bench hurt. Kevin Love being knocked in the lineup. Not being in the lineup. So all these things give me trepidation. This is not a great basketball team. That's all. They're not a great basketball team. And they're very fortunate that they're playing in the East. They got one star. That's LeBron. And the rest of the players, you can't depend on them. So why would I have a bunch of confidence with the team? That was the diagnosis as far as the team top to bottom. Their coach is out. Like, why would I have a lot of confidence in that type of team? I believe this year they will struggle in the playoffs.
Well, their basketball team might struggle in the playoffs. Their football team just struggles any part of the season. Coming up, could Sam Darnold force his way out of Cleveland before he even gets there? Maybe it's a Cleveland thing. Next time.